Alright, welcome back to another web development video where I show you how to make modern websites using HTML5, CSS3, and a little bit of JavaScript. I had a request from one of the people who subscribes, one of the subscribers to the channel, to do a video about web images and how to get the images from your camera and then get them web ready. You know, what programs do you use? How do you do your processing of the photographs before you get them ready for the web? Hopefully, I have a background in photography, so hopefully this is going to be something you can understand, and it's something I'm very familiar with, having dealt with photos on the web for the better part of 15 or so years, and I'll show you what I use in order to do images for the web, and then in a second video I'm going to show you how to actually format those in different ways for the web so that you're delivering the best possible photo or the right photo for the right size of image. So with responsive web development and web design and code, we have to think about responsive images. What do we want our images to look like at particular sizes? And we also have to think about not serving someone the same image on a desktop that we're serving on a small phone like a flip phone, or someone with a bad connection, something like that. So we have to sort of think about all those things whenever we're doing images on the web. But let me first show you just some of my main image editing tool that I use for a lot of different things. It's called the FastStone Image Viewer, and let me pull that up. So if you just look for FastStone, it should come up to the top, and it's a particular image viewer, and this one is for Windows. So I don't know what a lot of you guys are using if you're using something else, but I'm almost exclusively on Windows. Earfin View is one that I've used before. Maybe there's one for Mac. That's a great one. I have no idea. But if you're a Windows user and you click on the FastStone Image Viewer, now it looks outdated. It is outdated, but it's a great piece of software, and you can tell it works way back. If you click to read more, you can just see a little bit more of what it does. So it converts images from one to the other. It has, you know, support for all the major camera manufacturers, and I'll show you just sort of what is available. And even though it looks basic, it does some pretty powerful things, and a lot of things that I do sort of on a normal basis without having to open up Photoshop or open up Adobe Lightroom, which is what I've used in the past. So you can find it at faststone.org, right? And it's a free download. There are no ads, there's no spyware. I can attest to that, and it's free if you're just using it, not for your company. So it's a great little program, and what you can do once you have it installed is you can just sort of click on an image and you can open with, and you know, I have the ability to open up Photoshop or whatever I want to do, but I'm just going to open it up with the FastStone Image Viewer. So this is a photo that I took last week, I guess, of one of my wife's flowers in the garden, and it opens it up into a large screen here. You can see that I'm just clicking the left and then dragging around, so it gives you a nice little magnified view of everything. If you right click, that's where all the contextual menu is. Because it's Windows based, and it's not a web-based program. It's actually, you download it to your machine. You right click and you get, you know, a nice assortment of things here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the browser view, because this is the view that I'm going to use the most often. So you're able to sort of browse through your images. When you click on them, you can see down here that it shows up, and this is your preview pane. So we have a few different images here. Let's just work with this one. Just move it over, and we can, you know, if you want to, you know, delve through your machine, you can do that. But oh, That's not what I want to do. I want you to go up. Okay, so now we have it nice and full. Found our image, and I'll just show you a few of the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to process this image from the original file, which is here. That all I did was took it from my camera and put it on my machine. I'm going to put them into our processed folder, so nothing is there yet. There it is. So let's just go here, and then the first thing I want to do is I want to cut down that size. So you can see that the size is 4,000 by 2,300, so 4,000 wide by 2,300 tall, and I want to get that down to about 2,000 wide. So this program makes it super easy. There's a Resize Resample, and all you have to do is put in, you can use pixels or percentage, so you can make it 50% of its original width, or you can do a print size. If you want to keep the dimensions, make sure you preserve the aspect ratio, and then if you know anything about filtering, you can use different types of filters to resize it. I'm just going to leave everything default and just do 2000. So already you can see we're going from this size to this size, and we're saving this many 7 megapixels, 7.5. So the size of the image is definitely going to affect the weight of the image when we try to transfer it across a website and through the code. So I click OK. Now this is our original image over here. This is our image that's been changed, so we have to save it. Nothing has been changed yet to our original image. So I want to come in and I want to save it for the web, and basically the way I do that is to do a save as, and I'm going to put it in my process folder because this image will have been processed. We'll just call it flower. And I have some options down here. I can choose a GIF or a JPEG or a PNG or a TIFF or a bitmap or whatever I want to do. I just want to save it as a JPEG, and when I click options, then it gives me some options for the quality. So you can see here there's some subsampling and different things that I don't normally deal with. If you scroll your mouse wheel, you can see there's a couple of tips here. If we hit 1, it brings us to 100%, and I'm just clicking and dragging the left mouse button. So I'm just sort of dragging it around, and I can see the original over here before saving, and then this is going to be what it looks like after we save it. We can do a 1-to-1. We can have it sort of fit in the window so that you can see what everything looks like. You can zoom out, you can zoom in, so that way you're looking to see, is there some degradation. This actually looks really nice, like a little watercolor painting or something. Here's our original file size, 466 kilobytes, and this is our new file size. Our new file size is going to be 199 kilobytes. That's if we use this 70%. So you can see without any sort of anything, it's going to be 1200, so 1.2 megabytes. So let's drop it down to like 50%. You can see a little degradation. Like here, this is a little bit more pixelated, a little rougher than right here. So you're just sort of looking to see, when you come out to the 1-to-1, are you seeing a lot of major differences? This is smooth, this is not. There's some little things here and there. One of the trade-offs of doing images for the web is that you're going to have some trade-offs. One, people are looking on a device that may not be as high quality as a desktop monitor. Two, it's going to be smaller than what you're going to see on a desktop monitor. So like you can tell here and here that this is smoother than this, but it's probably not going to be as noticeable, because most of the time you're going to see it like this. You know what I mean? If you bring it way down, you're going to start to see some real deterioration over here as you get down super far. And so you can see how it's changed a lot. You can see this is really rough. But even at 50%, it's not particularly noticeable to the naked eye for most people, unless you're just accustomed to looking at images. But you can see if we bring it down to 50%, that's a savings of 300, almost 350K between these two. So you can even drop it farther and probably get away with it, get it under around 100. So you can see that there's still, we're at 30, the quality is only 30. We're under 100 kilobytes. We've saved almost 350 kilobytes. And you can't necessarily notice the difference between them. If you bring it up close, you can see that the flower over here is quite a bit smoother than the flower over here. But even at that, it's pretty negligible, the difference between the two, especially when you're looking at a small size. So when you're happy with what you got, you click OK. It still has not saved yet. So we're going to say flower, and we're just going to mark this one as, we're just going to mark it flower. And we'll save it. Now you can see it shows up in our process folder. And this is our, when we click on it, this is our process flower here. So you can see it's 2000 by 1100. It's 99 kilobytes in size. And if we go back out, we see our original flower is 4000 by 2300, 466 kilobytes. So you can see that this is our original image. Anytime you click on these are original images here. So that is processing. There's lots of other things that you can do in here. There is a batch process and convert. So you could actually take all of these and you can give them the same name. If you had 100 images in here, you could add them here, and then you can give them each an output format. You can choose different settings for them. So if you want to process them all at the same quality, and then you can choose an output folder. You can use some advanced options here. So you can resize, rotate, crop. You can do all these different things in a batch way. So if you have a bunch of images that you want to do that with, add a watermark, that type of thing. You can do that in this batch. Image, convert, and rename. I've used that before to rename things so that they all have a similar naming convention. But I'm not going to do that here. What else does it do? It has some different effects that you can do. You can put over the top of it this nice little oil painting type effect. You can see the original. So that's the original, and that's the oil painting. You can sort of really bump that up and give it a nice little look if you're wanting to do a little bit of art direction, things like that. There's a lot of things that you can do to adjust the lighting and the levels. You can make it grayscale. You can do just a auto adjust on the lighting. So just a quick basic once over to adjust all the levels in the lighting. You can actually adjust the curves. So you have the histogram here, and you can adjust, the different curves for the image and get those wherever you need them to be. You can add more, So you can sort of just deal with that. Nothing is done until you actually do it. So until you actually save it, you get a nice histogram here that you can deal with all the midtones and the highlights and sort of mess with those on a larger scale. You can see the original, now it pops a little bit. So there's lots of different sort of basic photography functions that you would want to do editing on, and you can if you know that you want to do that across multiple images, again, you can use that batch screen where you do the batch editing up here under the tools. And then one of my very favorite parts is if you choose this is the screen capture. So I use this for screen captures for everything. So you can capture the entire, you can capture an entire window. Let's see, we'll do it here. Oh, looks like we lost it. Oh, there it was. So you can capture an entire window, and you can see it's outlined in red, or, well, okay. And once you do that, it shows up here as your image. You can also just do a rectangle region, you know, where you're only getting a certain section. One thing to note is it will grab whatever's underneath. So I have two versions of this open. So if you open this first, and then you open the FastStone over the top of it, then you can freehand just sort of an area that you would like to do, and it'll do it. I don't ever use freehand. I normally do something like capturing the full screen so that you can see it gets my background. But I usually do the window if I'm looking at a browser, and then once it comes up I can capture either the entire with the Chrome at the top or just the browser itself, and then you can see that it does a nice little screen capture, and then you just have to go through and you can either crop out anything that you don't want, or you can just save it as whatever, and then that's how I do my screen captures. So this is my program that I use for lots of different things. Get back to our images. Let's see, here they are. So get back to our images, and you would essentially, hopefully this answers a lot of your questions about what necessarily to do as far as getting images into the right size. In the next video I'm going to talk about, I'll be back in this program, but making sure that the images are a particular size or a particular shape, so that when they are fed into the browser through the code, then the user gets the appropriate they get the appropriate size, they get the appropriate orientation, that sort of thing. So once you finish this one, go on over to the second video, and I'll show you how to actually take your photos and put them into the code so that it shows the appropriate size and the appropriate orientation for whatever your media query is, like whatever your size of your device is. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. Just as a note, feel free to use Adobe Lightroom, which is what I used when I was doing more professional photography a long time ago. Lightroom is a great program if you can afford it. This one is really good for just sort of the quick functions that you need to do to resize, to save for the web. But Lightroom has a full cataloging function. There's a lot there that you can do, and it's a beautiful program, I think. But it is expensive, and it's part of the Adobe suite, so you have to be able to afford that license. And Photoshop is also great. It's a little bit too heavy for only image editing if you're not doing any sort of visual design or image manipulation. You just want to do some lightweight editing. Photoshop is just too heavy. It takes forever to open compared to a program like this. And so usually when I need something quick, I'll just reach for the FastStone Image Viewer, and it works beautifully and gives me exactly what I need as far as processing images quickly. Alright, well, head over to the second video after this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.